come, artists have, like, I've been watching a lot of artists' videos, and they've got like these openers, or they got something that's the same every time. I guess you feel like it's your series. So I don't know, maybe I can do this. It's not an easy candle to light. So I like this blue light. It's really nice at night. So I got my my little metal box. I really love that thing. Got paint in there. There's kind of a palette I made. Okay, it was a photo frame from the thrift store that I painted gray, like Torrid Gamblin. These Gamblins are great. They have a Torrid gray that's a mix of their colors every season, and I painted that on the back of the glass, and then I can, if I mix paint on here, when I mix paint on here, I can scrape it off with a razor blade to clean it up really quick if it dries out there. So I saw an artist using these. This is like a sauerkraut can lid, and I put some squishy stuff to tilt it. And then when I drip my, this is mineral spirits, Gamsol makes, I'm using Gamsol right now. I drip the mineral spirits in, and then I put a little bit, I try to work with like the most intense vibrance, radiance you'll get is the paint right out of the tube. Some paints really mix together really beautifully, and some turn into mud, and like sometimes you need mud. I've been trying to, I'm feeling my way around with the art, with the paint. Still learning how to mix the color tones that are like most pleasing to me. I guess I'm really liking the radiance of the paint right out of the tube. So I'm trying to use, lately I've been using one color at a time. Like I'll only use the red. Today I'm using naphthol red. And I have a bunch of paintings up here that I've only done red. A couple of them I've had a tiny bit of blue and a tiny bit of yellow. But I'm trying to get that radiance. When I do just one color, I can get a really nice radiance. Like this one was just ultramarine blue, and it's got the radiance. If I mix these two colors together, this red and that blue, it makes it black. It doesn't. So and that can be a beautiful black. I'm trying to figure out how to get the depth, like the form. There are ways to maximize the form in oil paint, in painting, where the light comes forward, the dark goes back, the intense radiance comes forward, the dull muted pastel kind of stuff goes back, the intensity forward, grays back, that vivid high contrast, if you have like a black and white right next to each other, or a green and red, like that high contrast really comes forward, and then like the softer colors go back. So I'm trying to make in each painting make as much depth. So right now I'm with the red, I'm doing the whites coming forward, the reds going back, but then the radiance is coming forward. So I'm trying to play with the 2D dimensions of the surface. And I've tried a few where I mix the colors, and I'm like, they're kind of fun, but I'm not they're not as radiant as I want them to be. Maybe like sometimes it might be too glaringly colorful. It's hard, like this one's like super colorful. I like how that donkey turned out. And one artist I watched recently said, was it Alfie? I'm gonna say his name wrong. He said you want to do as much intensity of color as you can get away with. So I'm trying to learn that. So I've got a bunch of these started. I can go a lot deeper with them. I search Tumblr and DeviantArt, and I'll just do a general image search in search engines. This stuff is stuck on here with this poster putty you can get at an art supply store, or some hardware stores have it. Just kind of squishes. You kind of knead it like dough, and then you tack it to the back, and you can push it onto the wall. It'll stay there pretty good. So in these 8x10 panels are about $1 each. I got them at this package. Like Blick has a 24 pack. And then I primed them with like a super, like a kind of a primer, like a hardware store primer that says it sticks to anything. I primed them with that first, and then I used the expensive artist ground over the top of that to get the radiant light, because that makes when you get a really bright white ground, you get the watercolor effect. In oil paint, you can get a watercolor effect by having that white shine through the color. It brightens the color. So I've been playing with that, making using a lot of this mineral spirits mixed with oil paint, really thin, lots of thin layers, to get a watercolor kind of effect from the oil, because you get that radiance. It actually gets more radiance. A lot of watercolor, when it dries, it kind of you kind of lose that radiance, and oil keeps it when it dries. And if you mix it with a little bit of liquid or Galkid, you can get a nice, like, it'll makes it a little more glossy. Some people don't like that glossy shine, but the gloss also makes it more vibrant. Like, it helps the vibrancy come out. So I like to use a little. I put some in this little tube, some let's see. So the thin stuff is the Gamsol, and the thick stuff, the glossy, fast drying. This dries a lot faster. So like when I'm first starting to put layers down, I'll just use this, and then the thicker layers, I use some of this to help it dry a little quicker, and it kind of suspends the pigment in the polymer and lets the light kind of shine, like bounce through with the transparency. It kind of bounces through the white, and if you get like a layer, I'll get a much brighter orange if I put a layer of red and then let that dry, and then a layer of yellow. Or the other way around, I get more light coming back through, instead of, when you mix them all together, all those little particles are kind of mixing the light. You don't get as much radiance. So I'm trying to figure out how to maximize the radiance of the color, because I think there's a lot of energy in that, and I want to make artwork that's it keeps feeding the viewer with energy. Like, every time you walk by that painting, it gives you a little pep in your step, or it gives you some inspiration. So this is a photograph that I found on DeviantArt. And let me see if I have the artist's name here. Frost Stick, If My Sky Should Fall, on DeviantArt. I look through hundreds. I can look through hundreds of thousands of images a day, and the ones that really hit me, like that inspire me, I want to have them in my space, like tangible, and have it come through my eyes and onto the page. And like it seems like there's so many millions and millions of digital images. I feel like I'm kind of rescuing some things from disappearing into history. Like the oil paint lasts a lot longer than a photo print. Like a photo print lasts about, fine art photo prints can last about 200 years. And oil paintings have lasted for like 500 years or more. There's some really old, maybe 1,000. Maybe they found some that are 1,000 years old. Some of the colors fade. So I'm interested in that. Right now everyone's stressed from this last year of COVID, so I'm really interested in the mouth and the hands. I've been making a lot of mouth and hands, face and hands paintings because we're being alienated from our nature, and I want to have a conversation with that, like how beautiful it is, and how natural it is, and how much we took that for granted. Like most of these photographs were taken before COVID, and you just see there's an intimacy and like a confidence and a connection, like the self-soothing that happens, and like you're so much more than this virus. And there's a lot of propaganda trying to make us feel like shit for existing at all, and so this is my rebellion against that, like to show this beauty. And it's still important to protect yourself and live, survive, but there's your body survival, and then there's your spirit and your soul and your deep emotions and your connection to other people. Those things can die inside you while you're still alive. So it's important. It's really important to do something that brings you closer to people, at least emotionally, if you can't be with them as often physically as you used to. So I'm using a projector. A lot of artists out there. This is like the industry shame or something. A lot of artists out there are using projectors and tracing and printing out what they need. They don't ever show that on. This is working. If you look at all of the videos that you've ever seen of, like I've watched hundreds of artists, you see them with the drawing they made, you see them with this drawing instead of what got them to that drawing. This is where the video starts, and they don't show you that they used a projector, or they printed the image, or they all the ways that an artist can get the image onto the canvas. They'll pause the video. I see that a lot. Like they'll be working out, looking like they're eyeballing a little picture they got off to the side, and then suddenly the image will jump. Like they'll pause the video and like work out a particular area of detail that needs to be better, like more closer to the original, and then like the whole thing is going fast. So it's I spot those things often. They'll pause and use the projector and straighten out a little spot, and then turn the projector off and start the video again, or go through and edit it out later. And all of them are doing something like this. And I'm probably not going to sell art. You won't buy this painting because I traced it. Or the artist that I am inspired by this image from, the photographer might get upset with me. This model might get upset with me for redoing, they might love it, or maybe they want a copy of it, or they'll take me to court and sue me for it. Andy Warhol went through a bunch of court cases about using imagery, and they say if you save it, if you change it a certain percentage, and they can't win in court. Like they'll take you to court, but they can't win. And some people, I don't want to make enemies. I don't want to discourage photographers from putting their work out there if it's just going to get used and monetized. Like everyone, you go into a lot of you see a lot of successful artists all over on the internet and in art galleries in big cities, and they're catering to certain audiences. Like they'll be copying Star Wars or any number of anime. I could change this enough to never risk anybody suing me over it, or you can't even recognize, or maybe it's just the pose, or I can try to get it as close as I can to the original. Like the original image isn't super high res, like it's pretty blurry, and I sharpened it up in Photoshop, and I play with the lights and the darks to try to get the details in certain areas. I want this image in my space. I don't even know if I'll be able to sell it. Like be able to trade the value of my time. Like it took this model and this photographer 1 second of their lives to make this painting, and I'm spending hours upon hours on something like this. Searching, I spent thousands of hours searching through millions of images to find this one specific one that's really special to me. And then I spend hours learning how to paint. And the model has probably spent time trying to learn how to express with her body, and the photographer spent time learning how to capture just the right moment in just the right light. I'd be happy to, if I could figure out how to make money. Like I'm broke, like I don't have any money. I'm not selling these. If I could figure out how to make money, I'd love to share that with the photographers and models whose work is inspiring me right now. I'm just, at this point, I'm trying to learn how to mix the color. Like I'm trying to bring in the deeper colors. I want to get like the whole spectrum of colors. Like I want all the reds and the blues and the yellows and greens and oranges and purples, and to feel good with each other, and to like make the most amount of three-dimensional space on the two-dimensional surface. Like add more dimension to than the photo actually has. And it takes time and thought and perspective. See, you've got like, here's a blank canvas. So like this is the photo as I found it on a DeviantArt, and then now I'm starting with the reds, and I love that golden light right here, and then the blue, the really soft blue that's making that yellow just come alive, and like the heat of the sun. So I'm trying to learn how to take that from a photo into paint. And I need an image like this. But like I could pose. How is she posed? Like I could go pose in the sun like that and get a similar feeling, and I can't get sued for that. But there's something about her I need to learn something from. I like this character, I like this personality. I like the energy, I like the focus in her eyes. It's a challenge I want to be able to capture. I want to be able to capture something really powerful in her eyes. So this is going to compel me, like she's calling me. Like I want to know her in a painterly way. She's getting me up in the morning. She's so alive and beautiful. And if you're an artist, you need something that calls to you. She's speaking to me, and this is my answer. Like this painting is my answer to this photograph I found. And it's like a communication, it's a dialogue. I hope I can bring something out of the photo that wasn't in the original paint, in the original photo. I hope I can bring something out in the painting. I hope I can learn something about paint and light and color while I'm focusing on this form. I like the use of space. I think I cropped the image a bit to frame it in the space in a way I liked. And I'm just starting to get inspired to communicate using YouTube. Like I know I'm doing a lot of and there's time wasted. Like people like the fast edits, and like I want to, just like it's been recording for 23 minutes, and I want to cut out all the stuff that's not useful. And like I know a bit how to edit. I've edited a few videos. I want to get better at that, at the energy. I would just want to give back. Like I want to take a 24-hour day in my life and like bring it, like compress it down into however long you want to spend. Feeling like you're getting some energy from, like, if you can get something from my 24-hour day in a 5-minute clip that adds 24 hours to your life somehow, like, I'd love to do that. Like I feel like the really creative people, the really like loving heart and soul and creativity and empathy and life and light people, the people I love the most, like they do that. They take all this wealth of information from their world and condense it and offer it to you. Like they're giving you, if they're 50 years old, they're giving you 50 years of experience into this very particular thing that's a sum total of everything that they've discovered in life. And that's the fire I want to share and spread and teach and learn. As like they say you learn something by teaching it. So I'm trying to share what I know and trying to be brave and go into those really uncomfortable places where everybody gets stuck. Like that's where all the growth, like you learn how to become more resilient, and you learn how to give back more to the world than you took from it, and help people to know there's enough room for you, and it's okay. All your struggles are okay because you're alive and you've been alive. Like your DNA has been alive for 3.8 billion years. Like you're a survivor, and you need something creative to love, to spend your time doing, so you can make the world more beautiful. That's what I want to talk about. And I don't know how I'm gonna. These might be clunky at first. Like maybe I'm gonna get enough video experience to make better videos, but maybe this is kind of a fun way to start and end today.